some reaction to the housing white paper, the long-awaited paper that was released today. And I'm joined by John Stewart of the RLA and also Isobel Thomson, CEO of the National Approved Letting Scheme. And come to you first, John. What's your initial reaction?
We really think it's a missed opportunity, particularly for small independent landlords. There's absolutely nothing new in the white paper. I suppose in one way it means there's no bad news for private landlords, but on the other hand there was a real opportunity to offer incentives for small landlords to invest in private renting, to grow the housing stock. The Minister said he wants to invest in all tenures, but as far as we can see, there's a real missed opportunity to bring investment forward from small independent landlords, and we're very disappointed in that.
And actually, Isobel, in the report, there was actually no mention of the small private landlord. It was almost like they were irrelevant now. What's your take on it?
We're pleased that the government at last recognises the private rented sector and is focusing on it, and it's no longer a Cinderella tenure, if you like. And a place where people were stuck because there's no place else to go. We welcome increased professionalism in the sector, but obviously build to rent will take some time to come through. So it is the small one-man, one-property landlord who is supporting the private rented sector at the moment, and we do believe that they shouldn't be forgotten. There's not much mention of letting agents in the paper. A bit disappointed that there's no update really on client money protection and whether that's going to be made mandatory. And obviously confirmation again of the letting fee ban.
Indeed, and I think, what's really interesting, we're here at the British Property Federation conference outside of the event, and the whole talk in the hotel in the conference centre is about the institutional investors. It's a sign it's coming.
It is. It's quite clear. The government's focus on the private rented sector has been on build to rent and institutional investment really for the last 5 years, if not longer. But we can see how slow the build to rent investment is taking to come through to market. We heard today that there's been less than 10,000 build-to-rent units completed across the whole of the UK, compared to what private landlords are bringing to the party in terms of the number of properties that small private investors have brought to market in that same period. Private landlords absolutely dwarf these institutional giants in some ways when it comes to actually delivering housing to rent.
And, talking of the institutional investors, Isobel, from the letting agent perspective, I would imagine that they'll start their own lettings agents to run their blocks. What are you seeing so far?
They may choose to do that, but what we would hope is that they would choose agents who are part of organisations such as NALS, so that they could be assured of the standards that they should get. But I would have thought that maybe in this white paper there might have been something about regulation of letting agents, which I think is long overdue.
And also on the fees ban, it's still very actually unclear what's going to happen, but you have concerns that the fees ban will actually affect the livelihoods of the actual people they're trying to help. Could you explain that?
Yes, well, obviously agents are concerned about how the ban is going to impact on their businesses, and they obviously employ what Theresa May calls the just about managing. So it's the just about managing that might be made redundant because of this fees ban, and that is really concerning. But we want to, and we are engaging with government through our Fair Fees group to try and let them understand what an agent actually does in terms of service and why they should continue to be paid for that.
Indeed, and you're already fielding calls from agents that are very concerned about their future livelihood, aren't you?
Yes, I mean, people who've built up businesses over a number of years who are now concerned they will have to make staff redundant, and they will not be able to offer the level of service that they've prided themselves on offering. So there is a human side to this, and I think we mustn't forget that.
Absolutely. And just looking at the white paper, John, in terms of the small landlord, there was actually very little reference to them at all. There was a little bit about potentially longer tenancies. Landlords have always, welcomed longer tenancies. I don't really think, as you said, that's anything new. But it almost seems that no mention of Section 24. Seems they're very much set on a course now.
Yeah, very much the case. The message from government has been that we can't expect a reversal of any of the adverse tax changes that are affecting smaller landlords, but there still does seem to be some regulatory appetite. So while we haven't seen compulsory longer term tenancies for landlords, it doesn't mean to say the threat of further regulation has gone away. But the white paper from a small landlord point of view is very much about reiterating steps that have been taken, whether it's from the Housing and Planning Act, whether it's the fees ban, whether it's the extension of HMO licensing. When it came to private landlords, the message was very much about what we already knew was coming. And as I say, there was an opportunity there to perhaps offer incentives for landlords to offer longer term tenancies, perhaps in the way of some tax relief. There was also an opportunity to remove some of the barriers to independent landlords offering longer term tenancies. And these barriers are offering things like the terms and conditions in a mortgage, insurances, or indeed leaseholder conditions. So there was an opportunity to tackle some of the barriers there. There was an opportunity to bring forward incentives for small scale landlords to meet some of the government's objectives round about making private renting more secure for tenants, but they've not taken that opportunity, and it's very disappointing.
It is, it's very disappointing. I guess just to finish, I'm going to ask you both the same question. This morning, the government said the housing market is broken. Have they brought out measures that are going to fix it?
I think, just short and sweet, I think it remains to be seen.
I think what we can say is possibly the most radical thing about the white paper was actually its title.
Well, thank you both very much for joining me here, and thank you for sharing your views on the housing white paper, and we hope to get more industry reactions coming up, so do stay tuned.